I just came across a few personal items from a few years ago, and it brought back some reinforcement on why it was important for me to normalize my relationship with food. 2 years ago, I had significant binge eating problems. And even though I wasn't very overweight, it was causing social problems in my life. I'll talk about that in this video. 2 years ago, I was competing at a computer Olympiad in Macau. Let's see what it says here. This is the Chinese symbol for, I think that's the name of our director. And this was the chess event that I was at. My first time writing a significant AI for the game of chess. Obviously, I finished somewhere toward the last. Chess is very competitive. It's been done for 60-some years, right? Now, I found a business card for a restaurant that I frequented there. I naively thought I could look for a hostel to stay at in Macau where I could cook my own foods, but Macau is a very unhealthy city, right? Think of it like Las Vegas, right? People don't go there to live a healthy lifestyle, right? And so I ended up frequenting one of the restaurants there because they understood how to prepare food for people with dietary restrictions. And if I remember correctly, there was a 24-hour supermarket that I was going to get snacks. And I had a rough time there because I kept missing the food back home. Not nearly as convenient, right? At home, I want something, I cook it, or right, especially before the pandemic when you used to be able to go anywhere, anytime, right? And take for granted. There was another thing that was on my mind at the time. It's hard to believe now, but at the time, my girlfriend and I were getting quite serious. And I was seriously thinking about proposing to her. So I thought my trip to the Computer Olympiad would be the last one I did as a single guy. Now, kind of weird thinking back on it, I've done 2 more as a single guy. Granted, they were remote. I'll probably do at least 50 to 60 more as a single guy, right? Or as a happily solo-sexual guy, I should say. So now looking back at it, it's kind of weird looking back. But the whole trip was punctuated by me craving a food back home and not having it and missing out, and that's part of the reason I decided to wake up from the problem that I had. I was missing, among other things, dried figs. I was missing, even though I had a favorite restaurant there, I was missing Five Guys, if you can believe it. They make their French fries out of pure peanut oil, no additives. And what else was I missing? It's kind of hard for me to think back now because it's been a long time since I've had a major food craving. Oh, one thing I should have shown. This is a rock that I picked up along a beach in Macau. So my food cravings weren't terribly out of control. I could still go to the beach, but the trip could have been a whole lot better. What else did I do in Macau that was memorable? Not much. I mean, I played a few slot machines just to get to see some design. My computer games really suffer with in terms of graphics, right? I could always use inspiration there, and I was trying to. I practiced a little bit of card counting, and I was telling the people at the table. They all thought I was crazy. The Chinese gamblers have their own superstitions, and they didn't want to hear about all this math. But it was good. I just wanted to practice. I don't anticipate ever making a living off of card counting. I just love the math behind it, and I can't resist. It would be hard for me to watch a game of blackjack without mentally trying to count. Right? I just love math too much. But even that suffered because I was having food cravings. And after I came home from Macau, I almost lost my job over a food craving kind of situation. It was the fall of 2019. I'm an adjunct professor, and one day the student comes to me during my office hours, or he was going to come to me during my office hours. I had another job before going to office hours. Let's say, I can't remember the exact details. Let's say I was working at a tutoring center 3 to 5 p.m. I have a 30-minute break. I start the office hours at 5:30. I can't remember the exact timing. So I go to Whole Foods to get my favorite meal. I get to the break room, which is technically off limit to the students, to eat, and my student shows up at like 5:20, and I'm trying to mentally try to get him out the door, and he didn't get the message, and I was so upset that I was trying to rush him out the door, give him very rash answers, and the answers didn't make any sense. The implied message was, why don't you come back at 6:30 so I can actually answer you? He didn't seem to take it that way, though. And he got very frustrated, and he threatened to drop the class. I need to get better at mentally projecting things at people, right? Because it wasn't technically right for me to say, could you come back at 5:30, right? I needed to somehow project. If you guys have a suggestion for how to do that, I suck at it. I want to project messages at somebody that I'm interested in at a social event. I want to project messages at my boss, at my clients, at my colleagues. Oh my God, I can never do it. Sometimes you just have something that cannot be politely said, right? You just need to kind of head-to-head project it over, and I couldn't find the right way to do it. Couldn't motion him out the door, and he threatens to drop the class. And that was it. This was November of 2019 that we're talking about. That was the breaking point for me. So New Year's night 2020, made a resolution to normalize my relationship with food. That first night was really challenging because I kept wanting to reach for stuff. I don't do that anymore. But at the time, I told myself I was going to fast 48 hours, but I kept accidentally breaking the fast. I would, without even thinking, just reach for stuff. I ended up having to hide most of my stuff so I wouldn't instinctively reach, but I still reached and reached and reached and reached. And it was almost like a cigarette habit, come to think of it. I went to sleep, and I slept very well that first night because I told myself if I can fall asleep, maybe I can dream about some food. I don't remember if I dreamed about food that night, but I slept very well, if I remember correctly. And so on New Year's morning, I get up, and I got this weirdest feeling in the world. I had this big peace washed over me. Oh my God, I have a food-free day where I could do whatever I want, right? And go out to explore something new, make a new friend, try a new hobby. And I'm free. That was the overwhelming feeling that first day of the fast for some bizarre reason. I still cannot understand why I felt that way. But unfortunately, I never got a chance to go back to Macau or to Poland or some of my favorite haunts because 3 months after that, somebody else had their own food craving in Wuhan and ruined it for everybody, right? I hope to go back to Macau and the other places I've gone now that I'm free of the slavery from all the food cravings, right? Now, one thing that sometimes reinforces my fasting is that I see on the news all this drama in the world, right? The Kyle Rittenhouse problems, the guy with the SUV plowing down people at the parade. And it always makes me worry if I need to react to something like that and I have a food craving, I'm not going to be 100% in tune with whatever I needed to deal with, right? So, for example, think about what happened with George Floyd or Breonna Taylor. If the police need to talk to me, I need to be in a good frame of mind to have a good response, right? If I'm craving food, if the SWAT team breaks in and put your hands up and I'm craving food, that's not going to look very good, right? And sometimes that scares the crap out of me. Sometimes when I'm tempted to cheat on my fast, I remind myself that if I don't take control of my food, I could put myself in serious jeopardy.